Many of the world's poorest nations are in Africa. Numerous African economies are unstable and poverty is widespread. Despite these challenges, Africa's 54 countries include some of the fastest growing economies in the world. The African economy is expected to reach a GDP of $29 trillion by 2050, powered by its agriculture, trade, and natural resources sectors. The region has an eager and expanding workforce with 20 million new job seekers a year in sub-Saharan Africa alone. So in this video, we're going to discuss why South Africa is so rich. You definitely won't expect this, so make sure you watch to the end. South Africa is home to the largest luxury market in Africa by revenue, followed by Kenya and Morocco. South Africa's luxury sector, which includes exclusive hotels and lodges, cars, clothing and accessories, watches, private jets and yachts, generates revenue of approximately $2 billion a year, making it the largest on the continent by a substantial margin. Much of this revenue is generated from the sale of luxury foreign brands such as Porsche and Louis Vuitton. The research firm New World Wealth, in collaboration with Henley & Partners, has just established a new report on wealth in Africa for 2022. According to the document, there are 5 countries where 50% of the continent's wealth is concentrated. These are South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, and Kenya. Firstly, it highlights that South Africans have the greatest combined wealth. They hold more than $651 billion. The list is followed by the Egyptians with $307 billion and the Nigerians, who own around $228 billion in total. In addition, South Africa has the 2 richest cities on the entire continent, with Johannesburg, the first being the richest and having a total private wealth of $239 billion. The second is Cape Town, with a wealth of $131 billion. These are followed by Cairo and Lagos, with $128 billion and $97 billion respectively. In the second place, Egypt is highlighted as having the largest number of billionaires of any country on the continent. Finally, the report finds that there are 23 billionaires living in Africa. The report identifies Mauritius as having the highest per capita wealth at $31,000, with South Africa second at $11,500. In general, Africa is a continent of extreme inequality, which reduces the utility of average per capita wealth calculations. South Africa, despite its wealth, is ranked as the most unequal country in the world. About 42% of total wealth in Africa is held by 140,000 high net worth individuals, defined as those with assets of at least $1 million. Even the richest of African cities are home to great numbers of people living in poverty. Their report kickoffs with this shocking statistic that is a clear indication of the country's economic disparities. While just over 30% of black women in South Africa are employed, compared to 70% of white men, most of them work in low-paying care positions or occupy precarious jobs such as call center operators or housekeepers. The report showed that the average monthly income of a black woman doing precarious work is just 2,500 South African rand, which compared to a white woman in the same position who on average earns 10,000 rand, is very low. The report also notes that African women work longer hours and are more dedicated to their employment. The belief is that the rich are being rewarded for taking risks, having superior skills, hard work, and an unusual determination. The report says, but if wealth were a result of hard work, African women such as those referred to in the report would be the richest people on the planet. Although it was recently established that young black women are becoming strong forces in the property market, with many of those in their late 20s and early 30s owning at least one property, the Oxfam report shows that black female-owned properties are worth less than white-owned properties. The report states that property valued at less than 50,000 rand is most likely to be owned and headed by a black woman, whereas properties valued at more than 1 million rand is most likely owned by a white man. Black women are more likely to work in underpaid service positions such as housework, education, childcare, and community services. These positions are essential for a functioning economy, even though they pay the least. The report points out that women, mainly black women, are a lot more likely to take on care work, the work done out of love, commitment, or duty. This kind of work is not included in the calculations on the economy or its growth and very often goes unpaid. The value of women's unpaid care work is around 352 billion rand annually, which is roughly 14% of South Africa's gross domestic product. Unfairly, the wealthiest 10% actually depend on this free or underpaid work, as it consists of menial time-consuming work that contributes to a functioning household. Examples of these would be childcare and cleaning services. South Africa is the most unequal country in the world, the Washington-based institution said Wednesday in a report, Inequality in Southern Africa. Almost 3 decades after the end of apartheid, race remains a key driver of high inequality in South Africa due to its impact on education and the labor market, it said. When race is considered as a factor in income disparities, the report added, its contribution to income inequalities amounts to 41%, while the contribution of education is reduced to 30%. The legacy of colonialism and apartheid, rooted in racial and spatial segregation, continues to reinforce inequality. The country's neighbors that make up the rest of the Southern African Customs Union, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, and Namibia, established in 1910, all finish higher on the list of the most unequal countries in the world. In the region, women earn on average 30% less than men with the same level of education, with a pay gap as wide as 38% in Namibia and South Africa. The uneven distribution of agricultural land is also a factor driving inequality, especially in rural areas. In Namibia, 70% of the 39.7 million hectares, 98.1 million acres of commercial agricultural land still belongs to Namibians of European descent, the World Bank said. The report was produced before the COVID-19 pandemic, and its authors used the Gini coefficient, an indicator of income inequality, to rank countries. However, the report also reveals that Africa's total private wealth is growing. Total wealth refers to the private wealth of all individuals living in a country, including their assets, property, cash, shares, and business interests, minus any liabilities. We exclude public funds from our figures. The document clarifies the continent currently holds $2.1 trillion, which is expected to increase by 38% over the next 10 years. The increase is expected to be driven by the adoption of frontier economies and their performance. These will start to be driven by the need to diversify sources of wealth creation and thus enter other markets generating more wealth. Africa is home to some of the fastest growing markets in the world, such as Rwanda, Uganda, and Mauritius. Our forecast is for private wealth to grow by more than 60% in all three countries over the next decade, driven by particularly strong performance in the technology and professional services sectors, said Andrew Moyles, head of research at New World Wealth. Similarly, Dominic Volek, head of private clients at Henley & Partners, points to well-established wealth centers on the continent such as South Africa, Morocco, and Egypt. These have a growth forecast that will shape Africa's future economy. Significant private wealth growth of more than 50% is expected in Kenya, Morocco, Mozambique, and Zambia in the coming years. The mobility of high net worth individuals in Africa is enormous, and their movements give us valuable insights into future economic trends in each city and country, says the director. It's worth noting that despite recent global events and the situation on the continent, South Africa ranks 28th in terms of total private wealth globally. This is ahead of other economies such as Argentina, Malaysia, Thailand, and Turkey, for example. Let us know your opinion about South Africa in the comments section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe, and we'll be back soon with another video just for you guys. Until then, take care, stay safe, and be happy, guys.